How you doing, Orlando? Come on, how you doing, Orlando? Do you love your life? Give somebody a high five and say, I love my life. Look, here's a lesson about business, and I want you to write this one down. Wherever you are right now listening to this, write this down. You know, if your business is hard or challenging, it's because you make it hard. You make it challenging. Hello, yes? If your business is easy, if it's fluid, if it just flows, it's graceful, it's elegant, it's because you make it easy and graceful and elegant and flowing. I see lots of heads nodding because this is truth, yes or yes. We constantly are creating our lives in every condition and every situation in our lives. So take a deep breath on that one. And the reason I'm asking you to breathe on that is because there's heavy responsibility, there's accountability in those words. True or true? Yeah. So I want to just say from the get-go how blessed I feel to be here. Now I'm going to ask you, so how many of you would like to fail less than you did in 2015 and 2016? That's the issue. That's it in a nutshell. You see, we've been trained. Haven't we all been trained? Come on, yes? We've all been programmed and trained since the time we were little kids. The only question is, what have you been trained for? True? Many of us, from the time we were 4 or 5 years old, we were trained to believe that mistakes are wrong. That there are certainly consequences for making mistakes. You get punished or you bring home bad grades. And back in those days, there was some corporal punishment that existed too. You know, there were consequences for making mistakes, yes or yes? And so what consequently happens is we grow up, and in the process of our growing up and maturing as human beings, we have this dendrite in our brains, this neurological pathway that says mistakes cause pain. And so what ends up happening is that we very much try to live our lives on one of these, a straight line, you know, without making too many mistakes. Yes or yes? I'm sorry, yes or yes? Thank you for that. And what that does, unfortunately, it leads to something that we commit ourselves to. And I'm sure you know people in your life that are committed to the status quo. How many of you know somebody that's committed to the status quo? For safety reasons, yes? Yeah, and they may even be sitting in your seat. Ouch, yeah. The problem, say, Adam, what's the problem with status quo? I just want to hear you say my name. Come on, guys. Adam, what's the problem with status quo? You guys are awesome. Thank you. Here's the problem with it. It leads to something else, which is an epidemic in our world today, unfortunately. What's that word? What's that word? Mediocrity is an epidemic. And it comes from people that are playing it safe. Playing it safe. It's that tepid bath, that warm bath, that lukewarm bath of life, so that everybody can get to the end safely. Think about the irony in this. People want to be safe all the way through to the day they die. That means they want to become safely dead. Safely dead. There's something inside of you that's just dying to seek more expression. Yes or yes? And mediocrity and status quo will not inspire it to come out. What it does is it makes it safe to just go. At some point, it's like atrophy. If you don't use your muscles, what happens to them, folks? They atrophy. They just waste away. So what's the answer? I call this a pivot, and I wanted to share it with you. I think it's very powerful. It's changed my life, and it looks like this. Now that's a massive change, yes? You can barely even see that there's a change in the direction. True or true? Come on, true or true? Thank you. But let's look at what a 5%, a 5-degree change in direction looks like. But this is what it looks like mathematically, right? You just extend that line out over time. 3 months, 1 year, 2 years, in my case. Transitioning, reinventing. What's the word? Reinventing. Reiterating, iterating something new, disrupting the status quo. All it takes is a small, almost a change you can't even see. Creates this. This word is transformation. It creates transformation in your life very quickly. I'm a product of the product. I eat the cooking. So when I say this to you, I only know it to be true for myself, my family, and the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that we've had the pleasure to train all over the world. Small change, pivot. What's the word? Pivot. What's the word? Pivot. A small change in direction. Done methodically, done consistently, done with integrity. What's the word? What's the word? Integrity creates transformation over time. It's life altering. Yeah, after all of that, so I take out my journal, I start writing, I go, you know what? I am literally working on my mindset as a full-time job. I want you to write that down. You want to be successful in life? Get used to the fact that you're going to be working on your mindset 24/7 for the rest of your days, if you're lucky. What a blessing that is. I can't get into this now. I'll just say that in my own personal experience, what you want is to be guided by your heart. What we have is a situation where it's our heads that are guiding us more often than not. It's like the tail wagging the dog. So I'm going to give you another piece of advice that this is straight from my own playbook of life. That whatever you're thinking, it's great, but it's not you anyway. Those thoughts are conditioned thoughts that you were raised with. People, culture, media, you name it. All those thoughts and all that stuff has been downloaded into you by other people. And as Eckhart Tolle would describe, generations of pain body in your DNA. Don't trust your thoughts. I know it sounds crazy. They're not your friend. They're a trickster. Now, they're a part of you, like a little puppy dog, you know? You just need to train it. Does that make sense? You have to train your mind. And when you're about doing that, you're about the business of life. You're about the business of creating life and creating it without boundaries. That's the most amazing thing about Steve Jobs or any of these great entrepreneurs, people you're going to hear today. Creating something out of thin air. Creating something out of nothing. That is remarkable. Yes or yes? 2X thinking is about one particular question. I want you to write this question down because what I believe, and I know from experience, because the company that I have the pleasure, the blessing to be able to run has trained more than 1.5 million people for 104 countries for the last 20 years. So there's a little bit of experience, let's say, behind this. And the question is this. 2X thinking is what can I do? Write that question down. What can I do? What more can I do, in other words? And it might mean that you put more time in, more effort in, you get more information. That's very much 2X thinking. There's a difference between that thinking and the kind of thinking that creates massive success, massive companies. One of our students, I'll give you an example. One of our students some years ago got together with 2 of his college friends. At the time, they were sharing a small apartment in San Francisco, and they decided they would start a company that ultimately became known as, anybody know? Airbnb. What's the company name? Airbnb. 7 years ago, he was a student of ours in a seat sitting, in a room similar to this, and now he is one of the 3 co-founders of the largest hotel company in the world, and they don't own a single hotel. Now that's outside the box, yes? Yes? Thank you. That's what Lisa Nichols called blowing the walls. There is no box. That's exponential thinking, and that's 10x, 100x, 1,000x. Comes from a different mindset. A different what? So here's the question for exponential thinking. Would you like to know what that is? Well, maybe I'll tell you next time. Would you like to know? Thank you. Write this question down. Instead of what more can I do, the question is who can help me? That is the distinction. That is 10x thinking. That is what we talked about when we said that environment is about team. It's about how do you create your own unstoppable team so that 2016 could be the best year of your life. And then, again, in momentum, move that forward into 2017. We'd like to share their intention. Again, we said, everything is energy. So when you think something, it's one energy. When you write it down, it's another energy. When you declare it out loud, it has a pretty big impact. Ability to get leverage over yourself. Yes. What is it that you intend for being here for yourself?
I intend to break the chains that bind me.
Okay. And what are some of the chains that bind you?
The box.
Go ahead.
Being in my comfort zone.
Yeah. And so, you know what's beautiful? And Marianne Williamson says this, that a miracle. How many of you guys believe in miracles? How many of you'd love for your business to be a miracle? How about that your business would be a miracle in the lives of other people? Yes? Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. And we're really onto something. So, Jeannie, you just a miracle is nothing more than a change in consciousness. That's the Marianne Williamson statement, that a miracle can be nothing more than a change in consciousness. You stood up and you said that your intention is to
break the chains that bind me.
Right. And I asked you, what are some of those chains? And you described, right, your safe box, right? And ever since you stood up, all you've wanted to do is get rid of that microphone.
And sit down.
And sit back down. Everybody get this? Are you seeing this? Yeah. Are you out? You're outside of your box.
Oh, way out.
Oh, way out. How flippin' cool is that? You just liberated people. You've liberated people in this room because you stood up. Can you see how uncomfortable Jeannie is standing there? Can you get that? I mean, the microphone just keeps drifting away, right? But you're modeling exactly what it is that we're talking about. You modeled your own intention.
I didn't come here to sit in the back of the room and not do anything.
Yeah. Look at you now. What does it mean to be self-actualized? And what's really come up is that our self-actualization, my self-actualization, is tied to something else that we can all wrap our arms around. And it's so powerful. What's that? One more time, please. Thank you. Self-accountability. When we're accountable for ourselves, when we're accountable for all of our results in life, that's how we are connected to our own, to our higher selves, to our true self, to our actualized self. This is what's missing in the world in many ways. It's not about politics or politicians or, what someone's doing that they shouldn't be doing. It's about a collective mindset of people that are playing the blame game or are abdicating their own responsibility for the change that we want to see to other people that they believe are more powerful, are more in a position of power, or have more money. Because that's all accountability is ownership. Owning your own life. The good, the bad, the ugly, but it's yours. There's great power and peace that comes from owning your life. Even when it's sloppy and it's messy. Because it's always messy for everybody. Yes? And if you don't believe that, man, just speak to more people. Get real with more people. Especially the ones you think are stupid successful. Ask them about their lives. Ask them about the mess in their lives. And then there's great vulnerability in that conversation. There's great strength in that conversation. But the truth is, when we decide to own it, and we get the choice to do something about it too these days. You know, we believe there is no rich versus poor. It's really just, if there's a battle at all, it's the battle between mediocrity and purpose. That's the battle. That people everywhere, people are leading lives of quiet desperation because they're tolerating mediocrity. They won't take accountability for their situation and do something about it. That's mediocre. When you're purpose-driven, it doesn't have to do with just money at all. In fact, money is not really even in the equation. Money just shows up as a consequence of living on purpose, of being fulfilled in what you do, of the feeling of being successful. Remember yesterday I said, to be a success, you have to be a success. What do I have here? Yeah. Hey, how many people, should we split this pie? For everybody? Who wants to come and split the pie for everyone, right? Yeah. You know what the problem with that is? What's the issue with wanting to split the pie for 6 people or 200 people? What's the mentality that everybody? Yeah. What does everybody really want? The whole pie. That's what people come into a negotiation. They want the whole pie, yes? Now that's one way to try to split the pie. And that's a part of what's going on in our economy and in our political world. This whole conversation of haves and have-nots, right? And wanting to just figure out how to divide up that pie, which has been a problem for us. Yes, right? Would you like another way to look at the whole thing? Hello, yes? Beautiful. I heard make another pie. Yeah. Instead of making another pie, let's do something totally different, okay? You got to think out, what do we say? Think outside the box, right? How about we think? Instead of 6 places, to try to divide that thing up into 6, we just get donuts instead. It's an abundant universe. Yes or yes? Hello, yes? It's an abundant universe. There's many, many, many ways to, like that old expression, lots of ways to skin the cat, right? It's just about being creative, right? So instead of trying to figure out who's going to get this slice, why is your slice bigger than mine, right? Why should I get the small slice? You get the big one. Let's just get everybody donuts. And I'm not interested in donuts, but but you get the point, yes? All right? So write this down. Don't split the pie. Create a bigger one. Create a new one. Oh, man. Throw your arms up in the air and say, I love my life. Give somebody a high five and say, you rock.